Hey there, Mr. Redder here. Welcome back to another episode of Reddit Podcast Stories, where today, Karen loses it over a gift exchange. This all happened about 10 years ago, but after spending all morning reading stories on this sub, I felt like sharing my own experience. For years, I, male, early 30s at the time, was close friends with Brittany, female, same age as me. Brittany and I had gone to college together, gone on trips together, and were pretty much inseparable. She had always had a bit of an entitled streak to her, but it was never anything drastic. She usually kept it restrained to things like being the only one to pick which restaurant our friend group went to, or having her seat in each friend's home. Annoying, yes, but pretty mild overall. Then Christmas hit. A mutual friend of ours decided to host a Christmas get-together for our large extended friend group, which included both me and Brittany. This friend, Mary, had recently gotten married and bought a new house with her new husband, Matt. Mary's wedding had been a small, private, family-only affair. To celebrate with friends, as well as celebrate their new house and the holiday, Mary invited about 30 people from our extended friend group to a big Christmas party. It was wonderful. Mary has always been one heck of a cook, and she insisted on providing everything for the guests. She did all of the cooking, bought tons of drinks, alcohol and non-alcohol, and made sure that none of her guests were without a drink or a plate of amazing food all night. Mary had only one request for her guests. Each person bring a gift to contribute to a white elephant gift exchange. Happily, especially given how much Mary and Matt shelled out to feed all of us, we all brought a gift. For those not familiar, white elephant exchange, called Yankee swap or dirty Santa in some places, involve everyone bringing a wrapped gift. Then, one by one, each person chooses a gift from the pile. The first person opens his or her chosen gift. Then the second person can either open a new gift or steal the first person's gift. Third can steal second's or first gift or pick a new one. On and on until everyone has had a chance. Then the first person gets the last chance to steal. One rule put in place in a lot of these exchanges is that a gift can only be stolen twice. So if you're the third person to get your hands on a gift, it's yours for good, and no one can take it from you. This was the downfall of Mary's gift exchange, at least when it came to Brittany. The gift exchange started, and people were having fun stealing blankets, candles, gift cards, and the like from other friends. No one was upset if their gift was stolen. I mean, it's all in good fun, and we're all friends, right? Well, Matt, Mary's new husband and party co-host, was really good at making his own beer. As his gift in the exchange, he wrapped up a full case of this amazing dark stout that he made. Bob opened that and was excited. We all knew how amazing the beer was, as we had been drinking it all night long at the party. Then Tim stole the beer from Bob. We laughed, Bob was disappointed, but he gave it over to Tim in spirit of the game. Then it was my turn. I stole the beer from Tim. Like Bob, Tim was disappointed, but willingly gave me the beer and laughed along with the disappointment. Notice that I was the third owner of the case of beer. That means that, per the rules of Mary's game, I was safe from having it stolen from me. Brittany was next to go. She tried to steal the beer, but was reminded by several people that the beer had been stolen twice now already, so it was officially mine. Instead of just picking a new gift or stealing someone else's, Brittany threw a fit.
All the other gifts suck. That's not fair. The beer's the only thing I want. I wouldn't have played if I had known this stupid rule.
On and on she went. She was making everyone uncomfortable, especially Mary. Matt intervened and politely asked Brittany to just play along. He reminded her that there were still a few bottles of the stout in the kitchen if she wanted one. But no, Brittany couldn't handle not having the full case to take home with her. She pouted and refused to pick another gift or play the game. So we skipped her. The game continued on, and everyone, other than Brittany, had a gift. With only one gift left, Brittany was forced to take that or nothing. She chose nothing and, on top, continued to complain and moan about how unfair the rules were. The person who brought the unclaimed gift took it back and gave it to Mary and Matt as a housewarming gift. Seeing that, Brittany stormed out and left. I thought that would be the end of it, but I was wrong. Over the next few days, I was barraged with text messages from Brittany demanding that I give her the case of Matt's beer. She didn't ask if I would share it, which I probably would have. She demanded that I give it to her outright, saying,
"You know the rules were BS, and it should have been mine anyway."
When I told her no, she started with guilt trips.
"You make more money than me, so you can buy expensive beer and I can't. We've been friends for so long. It's only right. And you're being selfish."
The final message from her was,
"I hope you choke on it, jerk."
I blocked her number, removed her from my Facebook friends list, and haven't spoken to her since. nor, for that matter, have Mary and Matt, nor about a third of the party guests. She lost a lot of friends, all over a case of beer. It was good beer, though. I thought of Brittany every time I drank a bottle. My fiance of 8 years refuses to have a wedding. My 32 female fiance, who's 33 male, does not want to have a wedding of any kind. No elopement, no ceremony, no rings exchanged, no vows, nothing. I've always wanted a traditional medium-sized wedding, but I've compromised to doing an elopement with just my parents present. He refused. So I compromised again and said, let's just do the paperwork like he wants to, then go to dinner with the 4 of us and celebrate. He refused. Then I said, okay, let's just do the paperwork and dinner with the 2 of us and then get some pictures of the 2 of us and maybe do a party or something with family a few months from now. He refused. I just want to make it special. It's important to me and I've expressed that to him and he will not compromise on anything. We've been together for 8 years, so it's not as if we don't know each other well. I'm really starting to rethink getting married and even staying in this relationship, but he says I'm being bratty. Am I putting too much importance on this? Anyone else just do paperwork and call it a day and not regret it? Edit to add, he just wants to do paperwork and make it legal. He doesn't want a ceremony or fanfare of any kind. He doesn't have family he wants to invite, and I'm very close to my family and want to have them at something. He also wants to focus on saving money and not spending it on a wedding. How much did you push for him to get engaged? Because my spidey sense is telling me that he wasn't so willingly going down on one knee. My bet? He doesn't want to get married. He caved to the engagement, and now bashing the wedding is his latest way to delay and push it off. OP. I didn't really push. We've been living together for 7 years, and he just showed up in the kitchen one afternoon with an engagement ring. I was like, okay. I do also think you're right that he doesn't really want to get married on some level. The thing I'm confused about is I was very slow to schedule anything because I'd rather delay it than give into something I don't want to do. But he asked me daily to schedule an appointment to do the paperwork. Why not just leave it alone and wait for me to initiate everything? I wouldn't have even scheduled the paperwork if he didn't keep pushing me because I wanted to plan the elopement. I have a feeling he doesn't want to make it legal. You offered him many options. What's the problem with signing the papers and having dinner with your parents? Is that an inconvenience to him? OP. He doesn't want to spend the money and thinks I'm too dependent on my parents. I see them for holidays and talk to them on the phone weekly. He isn't close to his family, so he thinks I shouldn't be. Is he considerate of you in other ways, or is he generally as dismissive of your feelings as he is about this? If it's just a quirk and he's a wonderful and caring a man otherwise, then just let it go, I guess. But it seems doubtful that a man who exhibits such a complete lack of regard for your wants and feelings in this will be a good partner. Only you know that, and I've seen you carefully not answer any questions about that. OP. It's complicated. He has some mental health issues he's been dealing with since before I met him. He doesn't want a ceremony because he has no family he wants to invite, and he doesn't want to spend the money, which I understand, but I think he's going too far in the opposite direction. If he can't have his way, no one can. And again, I'm wondering if I should see this as a red flag. Update. I had another conversation with him. He agreed to have dinner with the 2 of us and take a couple photos, but only if he could buy himself a new computer. That was much more insulting to me than anything before, especially because he claimed his reason for not agreeing to anything is mostly because of money. I think most of the comments were correct and that he never really wanted to get married. I called everything off, canceled our appointment to do paperwork, and returned the ring we bought. I'll have to deal with telling my coworkers, but I guess I'll Google how to tell people without going into too much detail. I'm leaving him. I have ignored a lot of stuff with him because we are financially stable together, comfortable, and he was my first and only relationship. So I think I just wanted to make it work and didn't really know what was normal and what I've learned to tolerate. I'm sorry, OP, but you did the right thing for you. How did he take the news? OP. Initially, he was really angry and talking about how I get everything because I got 2 rings, the date I wanted, photos, and dinner, and he doesn't get anything out of getting married. That it's all for me. Then he calmed down and said he wants to get married because I'm his best friend and he loves me. I'm probably going to a friend's house or my parents today because the last time we broke up, I ended up going back. He told me to pack and that he would get rid of my stuff if I didn't. Would I be the jerk if I refused to give my fiance money ever again? My fiance and I have 2 kids. We agreed that I'd stay home and care for them until they both go off to school. He'd pay all of the bills and such since it would be a lot cheaper for me to stay home versus sending our disabled kid to daycare. I received some money for Christmas from my dad that he told me to spend on myself and the kids. Fiance found out about this money and asked to borrow it. I told him I didn't really want to since we needed diapers and wipes and other stuff for our kids, and I planned on buying those with the money my dad gave me. My mom ended up buying them as a late gift. Fiance decided to write out a contract that stated he legally had to pay me back in 2 weeks. I added in that if he couldn't pay it by his own deadline, that he'd owe me an additional $100, and he agreed to that. He signed the contract and marked it with the thumbprint and everything. The first deadline was on the 13th of this month. He paid me back $5 of the $125 that he owed me by then. The second deadline is the 31st. He's now telling me he just can't pay it back and is saying that partners don't do this, that they're supposed to help each other out, etc. I told him it was his idea for the contract and that he agreed to both terms. It's even on video of him signing it, by the way. My thing is, I wouldn't be so pressed about being paid back if the day I lent him the money, he didn't decide to buy $60 worth of smoking supplies instead of paying his car note like he said he would. He's saying I should be more than glad to help my partner who's struggling, which I would be if he wouldn't spend his bill money on smoking stuff and the lottery. So I told him either he can pay back the full amount of $225 that he agreed to paying me for, or he will get absolutely nothing from me anymore. I have zero income. The money I get is gifted to me by my family or on the rare occasion from him. I've been trying to find a work-from-home job but haven't found one I qualify for yet. And since he doesn't work a regular job, I can't just work on his off hours since he doesn't have a set schedule. Some days he works mornings, some days he works nights, and he doesn't know until the day of or the day before. Am I the jerk here? Edit. When he and I had first gotten together, he was doing a lot better financially. He wasn't spending his money on smoking nearly as much as he is now. He was actually providing at first. Even when we had our first kid 4 years ago, he was still pretty good. We planned on stopping at 1 kid until our oldest was much older, so I'd gotten on birth control not long after having our oldest. My birth control ended up failing, and I found out I was pregnant too late to do anything about it. At that time, things were still doing a lot better than they are now, so I figured things would stay good after having our second. When I was still pregnant with my youngest, our oldest became disabled. She suffered a fall that changed everything for us. She's been in and out of the hospital more times than I can even count. It was sudden and unexpected. She was already receiving Medicaid, so medical bills weren't and aren't an issue, thankfully, but her disability has still taken its toll on everyone. When he asked to borrow the $125, I told him no at first, but he kept insisting that he'd lose his car if he didn't make the car payment. It wasn't until he answered a FaceTime call from the guy who was going to sell him that other stuff that I realized what was really going on. I also saw some people suggesting to do Uber Eats and stuff like that. I definitely would, but we are a one-car family, and he always has the car when he works. Otherwise, I'd be out there doing deliveries. I have applied for disability for my oldest, but the process is still ongoing, so we haven't received payment yet. I do try to do surveys to make a little extra money every chance I get, but I'm going to look into the work-from-home suggestions some of y'all had and try to get one ASAP. I do receive WIC and EBT, so I buy most of the food. He buys anything extra and pays the rest of the bills, or rather, he's supposed to. He doesn't tell me much about his finances, so I don't know exactly how much money he has coming in and how much the bills are. When I ask him, he gets pretty angry, so I just drop the subject. A lot of you are suggesting that I leave him. I know that's probably for the better, but it's hard when you still love someone. He was a great partner for years before we had our first, and he was a great father for a while after having our first. I don't want to just throw it all away. I hope I explained things better. You have a much bigger problem here. You have 2 kids with a man you don't trust to pay you back $125. I agree that it sounds like you are right to not trust him, but how are you going to raise 2 kids with someone you can't trust with $125? Not the jerk. Why is this person a fiance instead of an ex who pays you child support? You're the jerk for that, not the jerk for not enabling him further by giving him more money. Am I the jerk for making my friend's cat lose weight while she was in my care? My friend's cat, Juno, has always been massive. Well, beyond the level of a usual, oh, that cat is kinda big. She was an absolute tank, and she's not even a large breed, just a standard regular cat. Whenever someone would point out that she was bigger than she should be, my friend would get annoyed and insist that she's just that way and is perfectly healthy. My friend started a global mobility assignment at her job that involved living in Europe for a year, and she asked me if I would take care of Juno while she was gone, which I agreed to. She walked me through all the cat care matters before she left and told me that Juno was free-fed and I just needed to keep her feeder topped off so that she could access dry food at any time. The feeder wasn't on a timer. It was just a bottle that dispensed food with gravity whenever the tray got empty. I told her that I really wasn't comfortable letting her have constant access to food at her weight. She said, "Look, she's still my cat, and you don't get to make that call. Either tell me you're going to stick to the plan or tell me you won't, and I'll find someone else." I agreed, but admittedly I wondered if I would be able to follow through on my word for a whole year. I lasted maybe a week. Having Juno around all day, every day, made it extremely clear how much she was suffering because of her weight. She struggled to even hop up on my couch. I took the feeder away and started feeding her 1 can of wet food in the morning and 1 can in the evening. I work from home, so the adjustment period of constant yowling for food was an absolute nightmare. But it worked. She is now 14 pounds after 8 months on my way or the highway diet and is much more energetic and mobile. Even her breathing sounds better. My friend has started to notice the weight loss in the photos that I've been sending her and is extremely upset that I went behind her back after I agreed to the free feeding. She demanded that I go back to the old way. I said honestly, "I'm sorry, but I really don't think I can bring myself to do that." I was like, "I know that when she is back with you that you're going to do what you want, but while she's under my roof, I just can't let her gorge herself on food all day when it's clear that she can eat normally and lose weight. That would be neglect." My friend called around to see if any other friends or family would take her up on the remaining 4 months, but no one could or wanted to. She's extremely upset with me and says that when she gets back in the US, she's taking her cat back and this friendship is over. It hurts, but I accept it. I know I went back on my word, and it must feel very bad for my friend to be across the world with this situation totally out of her hands. But I don't know if I can bring myself around to thinking that I actually did something morally wrong. I welcome any and all feedback. Lay it on me. Not the jerk. I'm a cat owner myself and would generally be furious to hear someone disregarding an owner's instructions. But if the cat is down to 14 pounds, then she really needed the diet. The typical healthy weight for a house cat is 8 to 12 pounds, so unless this was some very large breed, you did her a favor. My boyfriend, who's 31, has been ranting about orange peel theory for days. I, 25 female, am getting uncomfortable and want him to stop. We've been together for about a year and a half. I'm previously widowed, relevant later. This is his first relationship, so for a while I was trying to understand that he would make awkward mistakes and we would have to work through them. Lately, he's been bringing up orange peel theory quite a bit, sending me TikToks about why it's unhealthy and bad for your relationship, and then later mentioning it in conversation again. It's essentially someone asking their partner to peel an orange, and if they peel it for you, they pass, and if they don't or complain about it, it's a bad sign or whatever. I love this man, but this is starting to hurt my feelings, and the way he so obviously feels attacked is making me feel gross. I don't know why he's so offended, if I'm being honest. This is not a thing that happens for us. I don't test him, and I'm always respectful and considerate to him. I would say I do a lot of things for him, with or without him asking, just because I like making his day better and his life easier. Him staying so heated about this is making me wonder if he feels resentful for being asked to do anything for me, and I have a few past examples that keep popping up in my head. I had a pet that my husband had gotten for me pass before a big event several months ago. I was devastated, and he offered for us to miss, but I told him it would be good to go get my mind off of it for a few hours. We had a bit of a walk to get there, and because I was crying a bit, he asked if he could do anything to make me feel better. I'm a big sap, and it just makes me smile, so I asked him if he could romantically ask to hold my hand. He just said, "Can I hold your hand?" And I laughed and said, "More romantic than that." This made him mad, and he roughly grabbed my hand and started walking. I started tearing up, and he told me I was being mean, only apologizing because by the time we got to the venue, I was crying hard despite trying to hold it together. Another time, he had gone to visit his parents and wanted to leave early. My home was closer than his apartment, and I was having a horrible weekend. I was sick and very down. He mentioned he was heavily considering coming to stay with me, and I told him I would appreciate it as I was struggling and missed him. Despite him being very positive about it just before, this flipped some kind of switch in him, and he said, "I'll come, but I'm leaving first thing in the morning, so don't ask me to stay longer." I got hurt by this and told him to not come at all then, as I hadn't even suggested it, and suddenly he's, "Oh no, but I want to be with you. I support you, baby. Please let me." And eventually I relented, and he ended up staying into the afternoon. I have several other instances of him suggesting he wants to help or be kind to me, but the second I take him up on it or ask for him to alter it slightly, he's angry. Then he'll tell me that we just need to communicate more, while he doesn't listen to me and only wants to do things on his own terms, which is fine if he would say that, but he always tries to spin it back on me, victimizing him somehow. I'm tired, and the now daily mentions of how annoying and rude this trend is to him is getting hurtful, but I have no idea how to address this with him without it being interpreted as being mean. What can I say? He sounds like a kid with an oppositional defiant disorder. As soon as he senses someone wanting a specific behavior from him, he feels compelled to resist, even though he previously wanted to do it. My boyfriend has waifus, and it's destroying me. My boyfriend and I have been together for 3 years. Those 3 years have been amazing. He's genuinely someone I want to be with for the rest of my life. He makes me feel like I'm the only girl in the world. The problem started recently when he started getting closer to one of his friends. His friend is single and has multiple waifus, which from what I understand are fictional characters with whom he's in a relationship. I don't have a problem with his friend. I do, however, have a problem with my boyfriend developing his own relationships with 3 separate characters. At first, he told me it was all a joke. I then found writing he had done, a story about himself and these characters hooking up. After I confronted him, he finally admitted to it being serious. Apparently, he used to be into this stuff before we met, and talking to his friend made him feel like he wanted to start again. He won't tell me anything about it because he says it makes him uncomfortable to talk about it. When he said that, the only thought in my head was, "You're uncomfortable? You're the one doing it." All of this has made me feel so alone, unappreciated, betrayed, and hurt. I feel like I shouldn't care because they're fictional, but he spends all day talking with his friends about them. It's brought back insecurities I had dealt with after my first relationship ended. I feel like his behavior spits on the mutual respect I thought we had for each other in our relationship. What's the best course of action here? Should I try to talk to him about it, or just get gone before he makes everything worse? Again, how the heck do these guys get women? What on earth? My wife literally said the other day that she feels sorry for women nowadays. The girls need to unionize. Your boyfriend is a loser who needs to grow up. This is embarrassing behavior and is quite disturbing as well. He talks with his friends about fake hookups with his anime characters? What the heck? Trade the boy in for a man. He is nowhere near being mature enough for an adult relationship. Leave him to his toys and imaginary friends. This is all so stupid. I can't deal with it. Find yourself an intelligent grown-up who doesn't know what the word waifu means. This is what I tell my daughters. If a dude doesn't know how to use any tools and instead spends all day watching cartoons and playing video games, yet you still choose to date him, then this is kind of what you deserve. Good men do things like exercising, focusing on their careers, eating healthy, and they're always learning. This is how my husband and sons live. The thing is, these men can afford to have standards of their own, and if you're a gamer or anime girl with purple hair and tattoos, they will probably avoid you like the plague. It doesn't pay to snoop, then accuse the boss. First, some background. I own a tanning salon, and it's open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day. There are usually 5 to 6 girls working part-time there, and the pay is $12 an hour plus cash commissions on the things they sell. It's worth noting that it's a small, non-chain business in a college town. All of the paychecks are kept in a drawer, in individual envelopes with the employees' names on them taped shut. They pick up their envelope on payday, and it's worked well except for one instance. One employee decided to open everyone's envelopes to see their pay, and she was livid that one girl was getting paid $2 more an hour. Instead of just asking me about it, she decided to blast the employee group chat and accuse me of ripping them off, etc. Before you think the same thing, it's worth noting again that this is a college town with all college-age workers, which for my particular salon, it has meant it's very hard to consistently have someone who wants to close weekends. They're all usually going home, have plans, want to study, etc. I try to be super accommodating, and I work around everyone's schedules to the best of my ability. If someone says they can't work, I do not ask questions, I just accept it and plan accordingly. So the reason this girl made a little extra was because she offered to close both days every weekend because she didn't mind. She didn't want as many week hours, so I offered to pay her a little extra because it was so difficult a lot of the times to schedule that. Plus, those 2 days can be a little slow, so commissions are usually not as good. I guess the girl who snooped never bothered to look at the schedules to see if there was maybe a reason that girl made a little more, even though she really didn't because she worked so few hours. Cue malicious compliance. I explained the situation to all of the girls. I told the snooper that since she was right, totally a ripoff, I would make sure to fix it. I started scheduling both the snooper and my weekend closer every weekend night for the next 3 weeks. I really only needed one person working, but I had done a terrible wrong that needed to be made right. At the extra pay for the snooper, of course. I would have done it longer, but she apologized and said she was totally fine going back to how it was before because she wanted her weekends back and the extra pay wasn't worth it. I guess we could have discussed that together if she had just talked to me in the first place instead of jumping to conclusions. You must be a saint, because I would have fired someone snooping through the paychecks. Don't know what made her think that was any of her business. OP, I'm no saint, I can assure you. I hate firing people, but it is part of the job. I usually try to discuss issues first and give them chances, unless it's something really bad, like the one and only guy I ever hired, then promptly fired because he got a girl's number from her customer account and started trying to ask her out and bothering her. You fired that guy? But this girl's snooping around and getting all your other employees' personal and private info and then blasting it as well as misinformation to everyone, not fired? Also, why the heck were the checks even accessible? Karen demands I hire a nanny to watch her baby so she can go party. My daughter, 17 female, has a 1-year-old daughter. The father is not around. We sued for child support and won, but he has never paid a dime. It was very important to not only my daughter, but myself and her mother that she finish high school, then go to college. Therefore, we made a deal. We will cover childcare expenses and everything related to the child, diapers, clothes, insurance, etc., until she graduates from college. In exchange, our daughter will focus on school and care for her daughter when she is home. Due to lockdown concerns, my wife and I have decided that a nanny would be better versus putting her in daycare exposed to the other kids. The nanny is a very sweet woman who in the past has offered to watch our granddaughter extra hours. We always tell her that won't be necessary. My daughter usually leaves for school right before the nanny arrives, so I stay with my granddaughter for 10 minutes. Today, when the nanny came, we were talking about potential bad weather that might close the roads for tomorrow. As she doesn't work Fridays, my wife is home and watches the baby. I said I'd pay her for the week now, including a full day for Thursday. She said we could just pay her on Saturday. I was confused, and she said my daughter had asked her to work. I told her, 1, my daughter did not hire her. She doesn't choose the hours, we do. 2, unless our daughter needs to study or something, we won't be needing her. I waited until my daughter came home to talk to her about it. She said that her friends were going to a party. She feels overwhelmed from school and caring for a baby. I told her I understood, but this was our deal. She started to cry and said that all her life is school and baby. I hugged her, told her that this was the bed she made and she was lucky to have the arrangements she does. If she wants to earn her own money, she can get a part-time job and pay for childcare in her free time. That just made her more upset. My wife agrees with me, but our daughter is very upset and thinks we should just cave just this once. Am I the jerk? Not the jerk. This may be unpopular, but I agree with you and your wife. What clinched this was that she went behind your back on this. She might have asked you about having a night off to have fun. That's a reasonable request, but she didn't. She tried to sneak one by you. 17 and the mother of a 1-year-old, she still has a lot of growing up to do. Adults talk and tell each other what's going on. She's a child raising a child. Talk to her, work out something so she gets to be a teenager at least once or twice a month. These are not easy times we're in. I agree, not the jerk at all. She made the choice to have a kid and now she's stuck with the consequences. Don't like not being able to go party, where there's likely going to be drinking going on that shouldn't be? Sucks, friend. You're a mom now. Moms have to put their child first, no matter what. She's also getting free childcare while she goes to school and doesn't work, which most young parents would do anything for. She's being ungrateful, especially because she's gone behind her parents' backs to get what she wants. Moms have to put their child first, no matter what? I don't think that's true. I'm a mom, and occasionally I'm allowed to do things for myself. Always putting my kids, and my husband, first doesn't make me the best parent I can be. If all this poor girl is doing is school and parenting, and she is as burnt out as she says she is, she can't be a very good mom to her kid. I'm not saying what she did was right, but she deserves a break, or she will literally break. And honestly, I think it's crappy for OP to tell the daughter if she wants to have any free time, she has to get a job to earn money to pay for childcare. The daughter would probably make less than a nanny, so how can she earn enough to pay for the nanny while she works and save enough to pay her so she can go out too? Or was OP offering to pay the nanny while the daughter works? It didn't sound like it, so OP wasn't offering a realistic solution. i.e., the daughter will never be able to do anything other than study and parent. I think it sounds like the daughter is being punished for having the baby, but being told she is lucky. Gaslighting at its finest. Parents don't get a night off. Didn't that Dayquil commercial teach you anything? The problem with this setup is that she needs to grow up. Yeah, she's a kid. Boo-hoo. Well, she's a kid who decided to keep a kid. It ain't all teen moms, honey. It's hard work, and sometimes you miss parties, especially if you don't communicate. Imagine if this girl had said, "Hey mom, Susie is having a party on Saturday. Can you watch the baby? Or can you pay nanny to watch the baby?" It would have been way different. Teaching responsibility is part of parenting. That's all this dad is trying to do. Parents get nights, or at least hours and time off all the time. Grandparents take them. Spouse has them while the other goes out. Family babysits, friends watch kids, etc. Now, she's 17, and some of these aren't available, and etc. But to say parents don't get time off as a blanket statement is dumb. She's always a parent, but most parents once or twice a month will get some child-free time, and this is better for their kid because burnt out and sanity management is real. 100% she should have communicated and not gone behind her own parents' backs though. She's not actually always a parent. Her parents are kind enough to let her focus on studies, so she is free of her baby for quite a while every day. Yeah, WTF, as if no socializing occurs at high school. This daughter has about the best possible arrangement here for a teen parent who insists on keeping the baby. Imagine what it's like for so many others without wealthy parents. OP is being extremely reasonable. I get the impression that they'll work with her on important stuff like prom too. To portray this as though she's suffering from anything but her own choice is asinine. You don't teach responsibility by burning out a kid. She messed up. Big deal. Now she's acting according to the deal. But she's still a kid. Do we really want to read about something bad happening to that baby because the mom was depressed and didn't see a way out? Just because she has it good doesn't mean it's not heavy on her teenage mind. It's a situation that messes up adults. Imagine kids. Yeah, this time she doesn't get to go to the party because she went behind her parents' back, but using maternity as a punishment isn't going to get anyone far. Do this next. Tap here on your screen to come see our new podcast playlist, where you'll find thousands of hours of the best stories you've ever heard.
Or tap the one on the right. That episode is specifically just for you, based on other videos you've enjoyed the most.